Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about Burs to do IPR. And I'm prepping for my IPR webinar, which is in a few weeks, scheduled at the end of November. If you get this message and you'd like to sign up for the IPR webinar, it's free and it has one CE unit. You can find it at my website, Straightsmile Solutions, and there's a free sign up there. But I know a lot of you have been asking me. I know I'm a big fan of strips to do IPR. Why? Because I find it very accurate. You can't really screw it up. Plus, a lot of the strips that I use, like fit strips, there's a dial so you can pre-curve it, so you can just get in there. You don't have to round trip in order to make teeth straight, in order to add IPR. And if you're going to do burrs or discs, you're gonna have to round trip, which isn't always possible with a patient to push everything forward and out, add IPR, and then tuck it back. That's a seesaw movement. So if you're doing a seesaw movement, it can cause devitalization of teeth or bone issues, perio issues. So you have to be really careful with picking the right patient in order to do that. So it's not just because the Clincheck or the clear pilot setup says it's okay and it's healthy for the patient, doesn't mean it is. Now, anytime I have a massive movement case, especially if it's Invisalign, now that they have that CBCT functionality, you want to make sure you're using that, because you'll be able to know, with pretty good confidence that you are damaging the bone by round tripping, by pushing things forward, or even if you need IPR, because it's going to show you the fenestrations. Are you going to go through the bone? I don't necessarily trust the lingual and the palatal ones, but I trust the buccal and the labial ones. I definitely do. As I start to see things, I really feel very confident with their AI on that. So specifically the topic today is dental burrs, specifically IPR gauge burrs. A lot of you are using like mosquito burrs. That's great. You want to do that, that's fine, but keep in mind those are not gauged. So these are gauged ones. So have I used these eagle burrs? No, not yet. But they did give me some samples in order to make some content. I told them, hey, if you send me some samples, I'll make some content. So it took me a little while to kind of read through it and understand what the difference are. Whenever I make a video, and if you are from the Eagle Dental team, keep in mind that when I make videos, I'm not doing this and getting compensated, so I'm doing this just as informational. So I'm gonna be totally candid about, just my experience with it. So first of all, they look like very high quality burrs. I definitely felt very comfortable with that. They didn't look like they were made in some country where they're gonna fall apart in my patient's mouth. I mean, that's an issue, right? So I felt happy about that. The packaging was neat. Anytime I have burrs or anything that's gauged for IPR, I like it to be easily labeled. And it was a little confusing, like I couldn't figure out the colors. They'll use yellow, but yellow's 0.45 there and yellow's 0.55 there, and they'll use blue, and then blue's 0.4 there and blue's 0.65 there. So I like it when there's like a number chart. Just a little tip for the Eagle team. It would be really nice if you did that. They also have these kind of, I'm gonna call these shorty burrs. They're they're called J316s, but 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. These are for anterior teeth. Now, of course, a lot of this is going to depend on where your contact is. If your contact is subgingival or you have really long clinical crowns, this is not going to work. This thing is super small. So it really depends on where your contact is, and if you can go in there and do that. So it is curved at the top, so it allows you to smooth and recontour. And they also have a smoothing burr that goes with it. I guess it's a really fine diamond that goes with it as well. So, but keep in mind, this is 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. I do a lot. Let's circle back. Why, and this will be covered in my IPR webinar, but why would you need IPR in a case? Well, just remember there's 5 different ways we're going to tackle crowding. Obviously, if it's a younger patient, I'm going to expand, right? I might procline. Of course, that depends on the Ceph if I can procline, right? If it's a younger patient, expand and procline is going to be my primary way to do things. If it's an older patient or a patient that maybe already has existing implants or existing bridges, or we just, recession, well, we're not going to expand and we're not going to procline. So how are we going to get space, right? Well, one of them is extractions. Nobody wants to take out teeth if you don't have to, right? Sometimes you have to. But another option is IPR. If you do max IPR on a patient, you're going to get, I personally have a threshold of 0.50 that I do per case, and that's only if it's an older patient. That's just my personal threshold, just to play it safe. I'm going to look at the x-rays and make sure I'm comfortable with that. I'm not doing this in a 15 or a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old or even a 30-year-old, that much IPR. It's not happening. Unless they had like massive teeth. No way. I'm talking like 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old. Okay, fine. Then I'm comfortable doing this quantity of IPR, especially if they've had root canals or if their pulps are all shrunk up. Great, fine. I'm cool with that. It's because, we can't expand, we can't procline. Maybe they don't want to get teeth out. I get that. I wouldn't think I'd want to get teeth out either. Then IPR is a nice alternative. What else? I like sequential distalization, but let's say they had impacted third molars or erupted third molars and we couldn't do it, right? Okay, then IPR is what it is. So yeah, this makes sense to me on an older patient where this is really the only option is to do IPR because we can't go out, we can't go forward, we can't go back. Then IPR makes sense. But you got to keep in mind for these really long, skinny ones, and these are the ones I'd like to use, but they only start at 0.55 and 0.65. I don't know that I've ever done that much IPR ever on a patient per interproximal site. And you got to keep in mind if you're doing this is just cutting. You're still going to have to finish it and polish it, which also takes off enamel. So ultimately you're getting to 0.7, by the time you finish, that's a pretty darn big site. That's not even going to come up in Clear Corrector or Invisalign. So that would be one of those things that maybe you want to do it first, get some idea of the bolt-in, where we are, about how much you need. And then maybe you just want to go to town before the scan, just an idea. So I've done that before, definitely. We've got the Z12S. This one they say is for Invisalign. It's basically like a super small, it's kind of like this without the fluting, without the flaring at the bottom. But they say you can do this too, but it's so short. But this one's 0.45 and 0.5. But anyways, yeah, these look like good burrs. If you like IPR and you're comfortable using burrs, that's great. I think this is definitely something for you to consider. But definitely check out my IPR webinar to learn a little bit more. All right, thanks so much.